Son of Jake Rudolph, Courtnay Rudolph. And representing Bob Cummings, Drew Maddox. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame class of 2015. Jake Rudolph's story begins in Clarksville, where he was born, but his story took off in Atlanta. A football scholarship offered at Georgia Tech put him in contact with a group of coaches that changed his life. Georgia Tech's head coach at the time was the legendary Bobby Dodd, and Tech had assistants like Frank Broyles and Ray Graves, so for Jake Rudolph, the die was cast. He was a really good player, becoming a starting safety and All-American for Yellow Jacket teams that won back-to-back SEC titles and played in New Year's Day bowl games. Jake made one of the most famous tackles in Georgia Tech history, stopping Alabama's Bobby Marlowe on 4th and goal to preserve an undefeated season, Sugar Bowl berth, and national championship for the 1952 Yellow Jackets. Following his Tech career, Jake was a player-coach for 2 seasons with an Air Force team in Germany that took the European Air Force Championship title. After the Air Force, he became Coach Jake Rudolph full-time. He spent a year at the Darlington School in Rome, Georgia, before the call came to build a program at Memphis University School, and build a program he did. Over the next 39 years as the Owls head coach and athletic director, Coach Rudolph won 295 games, 10 district titles, had 9 double-digit win seasons, and appeared in 3 state title games. His 1985 MUS Owls were Tennessee's AA state champions. At the end of 1997, Coach Jake Rudolph stepped off the field as the winningest high school coach in Shelby County history, and at that time, the 5th winningest coach in TSSAA history. In all, he won 302 games. Jake Rudolph passed away on July the 6th, 2008. Tonight, Coach Jake Rudolph joins his younger brother, professional golfer Mason Rudolph, class of 1995, in the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. Accepting this posthumous award is Coach Rudolph's son, Courtnay Rudolph.
First of all, I'd like to thank all y'all for being here tonight. My dad was probably the most humble human being I've ever known. So with that said, I'm basically going to get into just thanking all the people that I think he would thank. Before I get into that, there are several people out in the audience that have come a long way to be here tonight, and I want to recognize them real quickly. First of all, Dr. Barry Hendon, he's here from Fort Myers. Michael Hanlon is here from Atlanta. My good friend Doug England is here from Orlando. My dad's cousin Jody Sanders and her husband Bryce and their kids are here from Clarksville. My cousin Mace and his wife Kelly and their kids are here from New Orleans. My cousin Griff is here with his kids. And last but not least, my late cousin Craig's sons Goodman and Mason are here. And before I get into the thank yous, congratulations to Goodman, who just won the Best of the Preps Golf for the Year award last night in Memphis. So way to go, Goodman. Before getting into all of the thank yous, I know Dad would want to thank Rita Sparks and the Board of Directors of the Tennessee Hall of Fame for this great honor. My dad, the most important thing to my dad was family. So I'm going to go through the list of family important people to him. I know that he would first of all thank his wife of over 50 years, my mother Carolyn Rudolph. She had some illness issues yesterday, so she wasn't able to make the trip. So we hope you get well, Mom, and we miss you being here tonight. He would thank his parents, Sue and Jake Rudolph. He would thank his Uncle John and Aunt Isla Mason, who put him up in Darlington for a year after he graduated Clarksville, and that year is what led him to get the scholarship at Georgia Tech for Coach Dodd. He would thank his sons, my older brother Steve, yours truly, my younger brother David, and his daughters-in-law, Barbara, Sharon, and Liz, respectively. He would be thrilled to see all of his grandkids here tonight. Moving on, the next most important thing in Dad's life was obviously taking the job at MUS back in 1959. I'll run through some of the special people there. First of all, starting with the headmasters. Colonel Ross Lynn hired him in 1959, so that was pretty big. In the twilight of his career, Ellis Haywood was a big supporter of his before he retired. But I think he would especially thank his lifelong friend, Gene Thorne, who, along with my dad, pretty much crafted the vision, the strategy, and the execution that led the school, Memphis University School, through the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You don't win 302 games without having great coaches and great players. I'm going to acknowledge some of the coaches and players are way too numerous. He would thank Coach Bobby Alston, his right-hand man for the last 20 years before he retired. I'm sure he would probably thank Barry Ray and John Cady. But I think he would especially thank a volunteer coach that ended up being his best friend starting in 1965, a gentleman by the name of Frank Brown, who was at his side the whole way during the ups and downs at MUS. Lastly, as it applies to MUS, I know he would thank the Board of Trustees that supported him over those many years. It just so happens that one of those Board of Trustees, Billy Donovan, is being inducted tonight. And Bill, John, Buck, I know how proud Dad would be to be going into this Hall of Fame with your dad. Bill and Buck, as well as Billy's son-in-law, Dick Fish, that played for my dad. So there's a lot of connections here. Next, I'm sure he would thank Coach Bobby Dodd and all of his other great coaches and great teammates that had such a big impact on him on the Georgia Tech teams in 51 and 52. The lessons and the philosophy that he learned from Coach Dodd, he applied, over the remaining part of his life. And I think, as John Kropp mentioned earlier, it's not the fact that he won 302 games. It's the fact that that philosophy, those lessons, impacted thousands of lives. That's his most important legacy to me. By the way, this has been an incredibly special year for my family as it relates to my dad. My younger brother and I just found out 2 weeks ago that my dad will be inducted in the Georgia Tech Hall of Fame this October, so we're real excited about that too. Finally, the most important person I know my dad would thank is his brother Mason. The two of them, the love they had for each other was off the charts, and the support they had for each other was truly something to behold. When I reflect on the fact that, you've got two brothers from Clarksville that are now in the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, and I look at how rare that is, and having met the Majors last night, I'm sure I'll leave somebody out, but the brothers Majors, great company to be in. And another one of our honorees tonight, Lifetime Achievement Award, Coach Mac Brown, he and his brother Watson are going in tonight, are already in. And I would tell you, Coach Mac and Coach Watson, my dad had a great admiration and regard for the way y'all handled yourself on the field and off the field. Finally, I would say there's a lot of hugs and a lot of love going on up in heaven tonight. We're incredibly proud of my dad, and I would just say, we miss you, Bob. Thank y'all.
Our next inductee